Alright, what's up guys, Zero here, and we are back for another deck profile. This time we're going to take a look at set 6 deck, being Gear Chronicle. Gear got their keyword with being Time Leap. In set 6, Time Leap being you bind a card, and then you call a card from your deck that's one grade higher than the card you bind it, and at the end of the turn you put the card that you called off the skill back to the bottom of your deck, and you call the card you bind it back to somewhere on the board. That's what Time Leap is. If the card you binded leaves the bind zone, you put the card back, but you don't get the card you Time Leaped to call that card back on the board. That is very relevant for two cards in this deck, being the starter and the stand trigger. So that's just a note, so I won't have to go over it later. But yeah, so without further ado, here is the deck list that I am playing. I will say I don't think this deck is particularly that good. I think Gears are in a very weird spot right now. They're a spot where they're like okay, but they're not like amazing or anything. I think this deck's pretty fun to play. I do enjoy playing it, but in terms of good, I don't think this deck's too particularly good. So yeah. Without further ado, we'll go over all the cards top to bottom per usual. First off, the starter, we are playing the good old Mr. Chrono Drain. He's finally in the game. Another triple rare starter, really cool. His skill is, first off, he has anti-retire. That's the first thing. And then his other skill is GB1. When this card is binded, you can put him into your soul to call a grade 3 Chrono Jet from your deck, and then at the end of the turn or after the attack, you bounce it back to your hand. So basically, when this card essentially, when this card is Time Leaped, you can call a Chrono Jet from your deck, and then it's just there. So this card works as a way to low commit board to get an hacker for free that goes out your hand. It acts as a combo extender and a way to also secure Stride Fire for your next turn. So pretty versatile, and having anti-retire is pretty nice because against the retire matchups, mainly like cards in our comments aren't actually like live, so it's pretty nice. So these are starter of choice. Next off, we have 4 PG, 4 Stride Fire. Not gonna go over that. We played 1 GG because you're not using your soul for anything other than Glimmer Breath for the most part. So very nice. So sometimes you just Time Leap the Drench into GG to draw one, and then call it a Jet to that column and make a full column. It's pretty nice. So that's there. And then finally, the new grade one we're playing is the Mellum. So her skill is GB1. When the student attacks the Vanguard, you can give her 4K, and then if she got 4K, you can put her back into your deck to call a grade 0 from your deck as rest. So it's pretty nice. And the card you call with this will always be the Urwater, the stand trigger. That being said, if you are out of stand triggers in your deck, you have to call a heal card, or heal. So be wary of that. If you're out of stand in your deck, if they're in damage in your hand or wherever, you have to call a heal if you want to use her skills. You can't just gain power and not call anything. So yeah, there's that. I guess another interaction you can do is if you Fate Rider the Dran back into your deck, Mellum can call the Dran back out, which is pretty cool. So I guess there's that, but you have to worry that if you gain power, you have to call something, even if you don't want to. So yeah. The reason to play 4 of her is because she's a solo attacker, and she calls out the stand trigger, and the stand trigger is like a huge integral part to what this deck is trying to do. Because I do think the payoff for playing a timely focused deck over like the old deck is that the stand is has a really good effect, which we will go over once you get to the triggers. So yeah, that's it for grade 1s. Grade 2s, 4 history makers. So his skill is Time Leap. The keyword just there. So his skill is that once you attacks the Vanguard, CB1 to Time Leap one of your rear guards. So because of how Time Leap works, you call the card a stand, so it's actually an extra multi attack. So something very simple you can do is your opponent's at 5 is like you just go like a grade 2 into like, let's say like you jet spin, and then like you what's the card, Glimmer Breath spin, you go Glimmer unboosted. You can then go History Maker, boost it into Van, Time Leap the Glimmer Breath to call grade 3 and have that swing after that. So combo extender, but sometimes you also use it early just to proc skills off cards that need to be Time Leaped, i.e. Drain and the stand trigger. So that's why I play for this card. He's a good extender, and he's a good enabler for all your Time Leap effects as well. And speaking of Time Leap enabler effects, we're also playing 2 of the Clock Fencer Dragon. I think he's a Clock Fencer or something. But his skill is Time Leap GB1 on placed from hand. So he only works when placed from hand. He does not work when you call him off something like Fate Rider. So when placed from hand, you can choose a card on your board and Time Leap it. So this you can use him to enable again the stand trigger or Drans. Pretty nice. 3 Glimmer Breaths. you're on play, your Vanguard's great through higher Chrono Jet, so +1, counter +1. Spin one of your points rear guard, then you take a +2k. So yeah, we've been playing this for a while. We still play it. The solo attacker, if you use the skill, it spins pretty nice. So still playing it. And finally for Ishin, honestly, its actual lines of text are pretty irrelevant. You don't use it too often, but it has resist. So that's why I play that, because resist still pretty relevant in matchups where you need it. And Blade Master is a pretty good deck now. People still playing Arcami, so I think having 4 resistance deck is pretty nice to have, especially since you can shoot out with Fate Rider. So yeah, so that's it for the grade 2s. And for triggers, 4 heal guards, 4 Chrono Jets. I'm not gonna go over this card. I'm sure you know what this card does by now. 4 Chrono Jets main ride. 3 Bally. Bally is just a substitute for Chrono Jet. It lets you fix your heart. GB1. When you try over this unit, you can CB1. Give that unit the following ability. Once per turn CB1. Put him back to deck. Find a Chrono Jet and put it as your heart. So it's basically 7 Chrono Jets. And finally, the cards actually we're talking about here is the stand trigger. So his skill is when this unit is binded, you can return it back to your deck to draw 2 and put a card from your hand back into your deck. So this card helps you dig your deck for pieces and helps you put triggers back in your deck if you need to, or just put the cards you don't want in your hand back into your deck. So this card, it just lets you like cycle your deck for actual relevant cards, and yeah. And sometimes it's being a stand trigger to rob your opponent sometimes. So that's pretty nice. But overall, this card letting you just cycle your deck for pieces you actually want, and putting triggers back in your deck is really nice because you recycle heals and stuff like that if you don't want them in your hand. That's pretty cool. That being said, this card being a 0 kind of sucks, and since it's a 0, we don't want to play too many of it. That's why we play 2. And if you end up like damaging all of them or drawing all of them, you don't always put them back. It kind of sucks there, but what can you do? This card is very nice when you actually get to apply its effect. Do you know this card is more or less a break even in card advantage, because you draw 2, put 1 back, and this card had to be on the board, so you have to play it down itself to do that. But I guess if you don't cap the putting stuff on the board, it's a +1, so still pretty nice. But just being able to cycle your deck and putting triggers back in deck is really good. So yeah, that's it for the triggers. And for the G zone, you can see next stage is gone. I don't like that card. I never liked that card. Sometimes I wished I had it, but for the most part, I don't really miss it that much. But first off, the old cards, 2 Riding Clock. When he's going to attack the Vanguard, CB1 G flip to make a start punking a guard with grade 0s, and then if you have another copy face and you have 2 more cards facing your G zone, he gets a crit as well, and you get to spin when your opponent's cards on the board. It's pretty nice. So it's a crit. It has a guard restrict, and it spins the card. Pretty nice card. Play it at 2 just because it's a very like low investment way to push damage to get rid of stuff. So yeah. If you don't like Random Clock for a reason, you can play Next Stage in the slot instead, but I personally think Random Clock is a little bit better than Next Stage. So yeah. Next up, we are playing 2 Fate Riders. So his skill is once per turn, no cost, put a card from your board back to your deck to call a card that's 1 grade higher, and then give 3k per face of card in your G zone to any unit. So card pretty nice. You can turn things into solo attackers. It can fix your hand to whatever you want it to be. You can tutor out Ishins, you can tutor out Glimmer Breaths. Just overall very solid card. Still one of your better first rides, so that's why we still choose to play this. So it's really nice. And yeah, it's just overall a good card. Unfortunately, we are playing 1 upheaval effect. I think this card is complete garbage, but because of a certain best deck in the format right now, this card is kind of needed to deal with that deck. So its skill is on play if your Vanguard is a Chrono Jet. You return all of your opponent's grade 1 or higher cards on their board back to their deck, and then they call cards of the same grade as the cards returned to those slots. So for example, if your opponent's board is like double intercept in the front and 3 grade 1s in the back, everything goes back and they call 3 grade 1s to the back row, 2 grade 2s to the front row. So yeah, this card can deal with resist, which is kind of cool, I guess, but I've seen this card go spin 2 resist, put 2 resist back, and you basically did nothing. But the reason why this card is needed in the current meta is just because Neo Nectar is the best deck, and Thuria with Jingle Flower is degenerate as fuck, and you kind of need some way to deal with that. And if you upheaval the Thuria that has the upheavals, that has the Jingle Flower skill back to the deck, even if it gets called back out, it no longer has the Jingle Flower effect, meaning the board isn't like 21k intercepts. So this card is here just to deal with that. If Jingle Flower did not exist, this card would probably be something else, but because Jingle Flower Thuria is a stupid interaction that exists in the game, this card is here to deal with that. I really don't think this card is good. I never played it before, and I really wouldn't play it now if New Nectar didn't exist, but because it does, we need to play it out to it, so yeah. And finally, we're playing 3 of the new GR, the Metallica Phoenix. So its skill is the Time Leap. When it's doing attacks to Vanguard, if your heart is a Chrono Jet, you CBE1, you flip anything from your G zone to Time Leap a card, and then if your G zone has a face-up copy of itself, you countercharge 1. So we play 3 because you want to stride 1 and then flip a copy of yourself to unflip at the end of the turn, and then you want to have one more, at least one more to stride after that. If New Nectar didn't exist, I'd probably just play a 4th Phoenix, but because it does exist, I cut a Phoenix for a upheaval. But this card lets you enable again. It's a multi-attack enabler. This card lets you cycle out the cards you need the Time Leap for skills like the Urwater or the Chrono Dran. Overall, pretty solid card, and because it's a first shot that flips now, this card lets you actually just Turbo Jets GB2 if you just want to use it next turn for whatever reason. This has definitely come up for me every once in a while, being like I pushed him to 5 on first stride, and then second turn I just like can't stride or don't want to stride for whatever reason. I have access to Jets GB2 immediately because my first stride flipped the card didn't enable GB2. So yeah, that's it for this deck profile. Again, I don't think this deck is particularly that good. Pretty fun to play, but kind of overall whatever as a deck. Definitely don't think it's like a meta contender or anything, but having an out to Jingle Flower Theory is definitely pretty cool. So there's that. Just holding it for this deck, but other than that, kind of mediocre deck overall. Yeah, that's it for this deck profile. I've been Games for you guys after this as per usual, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.